So that would be the end of this introduction. And actually, as of today, the closing of the opening speech, and I will be transitioning to myself this morning to look at market dynamics in the Earth observation business as we see them and as our team has assessed it through this year. So for the Earth observation business, so first, this is about Euroconsult. I would let it for you to read. I would say as a company, as people would know, our core activity has been providing advisory to stakeholders through the space ecosystem on a global basis, through strategic assessment to due diligence support to government programs from the strategy to implementation of the national roadmaps, and to operational support either for the design, procurement of assets up to their delivery in orbit for a breadth of clients. So, but that's consulting. Our market intelligence is very core also to our expertise. And we have extended that portfolio to include a large number of topics being covered through reports and an increasing number of databases, data information. Executive summits. Well, this is and has been our main one. So we've been organizing some additional executives events, more locally or focused on certain topics, but certainly World Satellite Business Week is ours. And we started and have conducted this year, we restarted and have conducted this year a number of customized training programs for both public and private organizations on topics going really from market-oriented to a variety of regulatory to technical to programmatic training sessions to support organizations. Key figures are well listed for you if you are interested in having a look. And then I might turn to our industry. So apologies for that, it's written very, very small. But anyway, the idea of the chart is to, and it's not exhaustive for sure, it's to look at different pieces moving in the industry. Would it be from an industrial standpoint, is a building bringing assets into orbit? From the government and regulatory standpoint, and certainly governments playing a key role in the industry, either as a client, for sure, of the commercial sector, as a buyer and operator of information capabilities, as a regulator for any data policy, authorization to sell, particular resolution, etc., and in other roles. So this has been key. Some of the recent changes has been clearly a willingness from government to create new framework to acquire information imagery from different stakeholders. Would it be the NRO that has started a program? Would it be announcements from ESA in Europe lately and so forth? To also take advantage of the new capabilities, new sensors, new companies entering into the industry. And data and services certainly very much happening, and we'll come back to a few of the trends from the combination of operators, data and services suppliers with tech giants, from financing and other events that took place this year, which really makes it kind of a potential pivot item for the industry. Why is it pivotal? I would say when you look just at the number of satellites, so it already increased obviously significantly, but it's expected to kind of double in the next couple of years at least. And we are heading to around approximately 600 satellites also. So the longer term, maybe up to the success of certain of the first programs and potential new concepts. So the number will increase, but together with that is certainly the diversification of the capabilities into orbit that's important, as you would see on the pie chart on the right. And one change of this year, certainly out of the companies that had planned to operate, a number had their first assets into orbit or started their commercial services this year. So it's close to 30 organizations now that would have at least one operational satellite into orbit commercializing data. Most of them obviously being part of Constellation. So The ecosystem is as well increasingly diversified from, let's say, incumbent stakeholders who are obviously um, improving and diversifying their capabilities, and this will certainly be discussed today. So, to companies having global capabilities and working on some of the optical SAR, for example, segments that certainly have existed for a number of years, and bringing new capabilities or diversified with kind of a global objective and servicing certainly a large breadth of vertical market. And then we see organization having really kind of specialized on-source capabilities, specialized services or user segments. And obviously, one of the key issues for companies as they come to the market is how to differentiate, how to make really a difference in order to capture as a new client, new segment, or contribute to the growth of the entire sector. Fundraising has again been on the rise, a very, very active year in remote sensing. I think together with infrastructure or access to space, it's been the most active segment this year in the number of operations, with SPAC being certainly high in the news and in the number of operations. So the industry altogether has reached about 8 billion accumulated and about 3 billion approximate. Some numbers are still depending on upcoming SPAC mergers, but certainly very high level of fundraising this year. And where it makes a difference is that several companies have now completed the financings that would be required for their first generation constellation and kind of full operational capability in the next 2 years. So what were potential players in the market have now in their hands the funds to complete their first deployment and meet their at least initial goals. One challenge, something we'll discuss today, a challenge. It's a good challenge to have, but with that including some estimates in terms of the value and some of the upcoming mergers and so forth. So a great thing is an impressive thing, to say the least, is the appreciation of investors with regards to space activity. And clearly space is a tech industry. We talk about space, information, observation and others, but it's really appreciated as a tech industry and with its potential. So obviously, fundraising has been strong. Some of the initial valuation, there could be different ways of measuring it, but obviously comparing the valuation of the companies and the current revenues of a number of them, there is certainly quite a gap with ambitious targets for essentially all of the company over the next 3 to 5 years. So we see growth in the market, but then certainly one challenge will be to demonstrate and really accelerate and grow at a fast pace. Where that should come from, I mean, we presented last year. I will be quick. Everyone would be aware in the room that each company would have its own model in terms of whether providing data, whether providing end-to-end services, having a hybrid model depending on the vertical segments or clients being addressed, the direction of higher virtualization when thinking of ground segment, online platforms, a certain analytical layer or change detections being more automated to the benefit of users are pretty obvious directions. And then it's really a matter of for each company to find its channel to the clients, to the market, get their process and develop the right ecosystem or internalize depending on the markets they will serve. I mentioned about governments. It remains, they are buyer of data. They're also obviously operating more and more systems. Some countries are looking or still at their first or second generation systems. And interestingly, because one satellite would not be enough for a country, usually this acquisition would come together with data service acquisitions from third parties. And together with that, we've seen some first contracts this year, but certainly we shall see a mix in the coming years of a really owner of infrastructure, or maybe some countries opting for more of a virtual operator mode acquiring a capability or a form of exclusive access to resources information when above their land. Appetite for street data. We have to update 2021 for this chart, but quite interesting to see data from Landsat, Copernicus together having higher and higher level of consumption, or at least downloads from the market, and the role they can play in the start and expansion of services, and the combination of them actually with the proprietary data of operators, for example, to have a larger portfolio of services. So it can be obviously competition in places. It can also be a contributor to the development of services and of integrated services, even for players having their data. So our numbers for the market, as I said, we anticipate the market to grow still for selling data, driven significantly by the defense intelligence segment for sure. But so there is room, we believe, for growth of the data, and having and being an owner of assets and of data can have importance in the way you work with clients on a case-by-case basis. We anticipate what we would call services to grow faster. Obviously, there shall be some price pressure, a bit like you would have in telecom or with 3G, 4G, 5G, you will have more for the same price, so as much as you can. So we'll have that balancing act of finding new clients, in cases try to increase the ARPU against real value creation to the clients, and have that balancing act of all the services supporting the growth. So altogether, we are looking at all the total of services and data reaching maybe 6 billion in 2025 and keeping growing afterwards. In the scenarios we're looking at, there can be upside. We consider the total addressable market as much larger than what is being captured, and it's all a matter of monetization, time to enter into vertical segments, and really get the revenue into the companies. So I've no doubt that this will be discussed in several of the sessions today. We certainly anticipate as well more of a diversification of the market and user segments over the years, while still government, either for defense, either for sustainable development, using a pretty broad term, certainly remaining key clients for the sector, together with a larger number of segments driven by private organizations. And that would be the end of this market overview for today.